Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery with IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, April 8th, 2021 at 7:59 a.m. Central. We get together with our very important distribution partners most weekdays, most Mondays through Fridays at 8 a.m. Central or a minute or so before. And for those that can't join us live, we record it. We're very transparent. We put the YouTube videos up and the world can see it. There are no secrets in who we are or what we do. I have two topics today, and then we want to open it up for any Q&A that you have. And we use the question and answer function of Zoom. It's almost like a chat box where you can post your questions, comments, concerns. Off the agenda topic here, several of you had asked yesterday about credit boost because we had a really good training yesterday. We went through some good information, and I think yesterday's training is right here. It's the top video now under the careers. But we didn't talk much about credit boost, and several of you asked about credit boost. So credit boost is alive and well. I know a number of you have some big campaigns that you're launching this month around credit boost. And that's frankly a smart thing to do, right? Credit boost is no upfront cost. And anytime you can go cast a net where there's no upfront cost, you're gonna catch a lot of fish. So yes, feel free to promote credit boost. Now, even bringing them into credit boost can still be the entry point into the 60-day credit sweep, access to capital, or what have you. So that's briefly just clarifying that credit boost is alive and well. Our primary topic, though, today is specifically on the new bridge loan program. Now, it's very important that you follow along because to us, a bridge loan is a proper noun. We've been doing bridge loans or facilitating bridge loans for a couple years. Bridge loans in our vernacular and in this context is a specific short-term loan for a very specified purpose. It's not a general loan. Now, as I was very candid about, up until recently, we worked with a private equity group out of Utah, great group of people. They're having a change in ownership. Their underwriting has gotten real tight. It's not working for most of our clients now, and we'll see where they end up. But regardless, we've been able to secure, as of yesterday, that's why we announced it, a new private equity lender. So this isn't a bank loan. This isn't a credit card. This isn't a trade line. This is an amount of cash wired to the client. But we're going to talk about how that works. So the bridge loan, again, when we see capital B, capital L, it means specifically this type of loan program, not just in general a loan. It's a bridge loan. It's 0% interest, so no one can complain about that. Now, there will be a processing fee attached. So, there's no lenders of money or private equity groups that are going to give money away, right? That's not going to happen. But in the past, with the old group out of Utah, they had a standard fee structure that wasn't really risk adjusted. And so often it was too high for what a lot of clients wanted to pay. So now what we're going to do is it's going to be risk adjusted. So it's 0% interest, and this is going to be specifically to pay down or off, one of the two. Those are two different variations. So we're going to either wire them the money to pay down their current credit cards or potentially pay off their credit card balances. Why would we do that? Well, what you and I know is that when we use more and more of our available revolving credit, it does two things. It lowers our credit score, but that's an easy one to fix, right? Pay off the balances and the score jumps right back up. But also it makes us look more distressed, and that causes a caution, a red flag for lenders. So when we can go in and pay off or pay down significantly clients' credit cards, then their score goes up and their risk factor goes down as perceived by the lender. So now they can move on to funding. This is the type of funding, the bridge loan, that happens at the end of the loan packaging process. So in other words, once we wire them the money and they use that to pay down their credit cards, then once those payments post, we believe that they're ready to go for funding, for whatever type of funding they're going for as a second step. Because the intent here of the bridge loan with a capital B and L is to loan them the money in a very short period of time so they can pay down their credit cards, qualify for funding, and then pay the private equity group back. So it's meant to be very short term. Let's talk about the simple process. And well, let's go back to what it's not though. So when we were doing the bridge loan through the other private equity group, we'd have someone say, well, I'm wanting to pay off a high interest business loan, an installment loan. Will the bridge loan work? No. The bridge loan is specifically to bring a client's credit profile from unattractive to attractive, to increase their credit score by manipulating that one specific variable, which is high credit card balances. Okay, so let's talk about the process and then we'll dig into the questions that you all may have. So this is part of the Access to Capital program. This is not like a new offering that really you need to even be too worried about. You don't go out and just like the real estate financing, that created a flurry of confusion. Oh, well, how do I refer someone in for real estate financing? Well, you don't. That's a use of funds. They would enroll in the Access to Capital program. So in this case, how do I enroll someone in the bridge loan program? Well, they don't enroll in that separately. This is one of the mechanisms we have to help people move from being not capital ready to capital ready. So they would be in the Access to Capital program. So will this be available to all of our current Access to Capital clients? Of course. And then, of course, new people enrolling in the Access to Capital. So they've enrolled in the Access to Capital. They've paid their deferred refundable deposit. We've built their loan package out. We know where we're at, but we see a barrier. And that barrier is high revolving credit card utilization. Make sense? The application is going to be simple. There's not going to be an application fee, so don't worry about that. Our goal is to turn these around in one day, one business day, 24 hours. And again, the way the money works, it's very simple. We will wire them the money to their account, and then what they've done is they've promised to use that money to pay down or pay off their credit cards. So we're not being so intrusive that we're saying, okay, well, give us your login to your American Express, your MasterCard and Visa, and we'll pay for it for you. It's not that. We're going to wire them the money, and they've made the promise, the commitment to use that money specifically to pay down their credit card balances. Then what happens is then they'll go to funding for whatever loan or instrument that they were working on that this was a barrier for. And then to no surprise, they pay back the bridge loan. So this should always be repaid within 30 to 60 days. And then what you do is you get 3% of their funding, not of the bridge loan, but let's say that high credit card balances was keeping them from getting that $100,000 loan. So now we've resolved that problem. We've removed that barrier. They get their $100,000 loan from wherever, not related to the private equity group, and then you get your performance fee off of that. So this is going to be a big deal for those folks that are constrained based upon high credit card utilization. What we had been doing with Credit Boost, which is not shown there in the screen now, is trying to manipulate their utilization rate by adding new trade lines. But frankly, lenders can see through that some. And so if you're still maxed out or heavy utilization on sub-trade lines, even though you just added a new one that has very low utilization, while it does water down the overall revolving utilization, it doesn't accomplish really what we wanted it to. So this is a better solution. Let's literally pay down their credit cards, the client's credit cards. That's going to make their score go up. their perceived risk go down so we can progress to funding. Okay, so now we're going to get into your questions, comments, concerns about the new bridge loan program. All right, so Stefan asked a good question, and I love the constructive criticism and the hard questions. So Stefan asked, well, wait a second. And I think his question is twofold. Well, why do they need to be in the Access to Capital program? Well, that's our bread and butter, right? And I can bring back up our website, which states our mission statement, which is to help improve financial literacy, increase credit, and increase access to capital. So the Access to Capital program is the methodology we use. And the other part of Stefan's question is, well, why do they have to have paid their deferred refundable deposit? Well, these private equity folks may not be as smart as you, but they're certainly smarter than me, and they're not going to make bad loans or what appears to be bad loans. So we've talked about the 4 C's before. Usually we talk about the 3 C's, but what are the 4 C's? Credit, cash flow, collateral, and character. And so the private equity group is looking to determine, is this person a reasonable risk? Because now they're fronting $5,000, $10,000 more dollars, wiring it over to the client, hoping, praying that the client will do what they said, which is to take that money, pay down or pay off the credit cards, and proceed with the loan process for the next round of capital. So by someone having gone through, Stefan, the deferred refundable deposit, by having paid that as they promised to do when they enrolled in the Access to Capital program and have complied with building their loan package, it's really only then that we can tell the private equity group, yeah, if we do this and we pay down their credit cards or pay off their credit cards, then they'll be eligible for funding. Because see, if the client's not going to be eligible for funding immediately after this transaction, then the private equity group wouldn't want to issue a bridge loan, because the bridge loan is designed to be very short term. So what that means is, okay, we've got a funding plan in place. The person will be ready to go to funding for this larger amount, whatever it is, once this obstacle has been removed. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Stefan, for that question. Okay, and very, very good follow-up question. So we will have put together a funding model before we pitch this to the private equity group. And it would say, let's just use for an example, we've got Bill on the line here. So we'd say, okay, we've got a client, Bill Wright. Bill Wright is high character, very qualified person. We're ready to go for X loan. Let's just say $100,000 business loan. We believe that Mr. Wright does qualify for that $100,000. The only barrier remaining is his high credit card utilization, which of course both impacts his score and his perceived risk. Based upon loaning him $20,000, Bill will pay off his credit cards or pay down his credit cards, whatever the case may be, and then we'll be able to go to funding. So getting to the question, if the expected funding that occurs, we'll call it here in step 5, isn't significantly more than just enough to pay off the credit cards, then the private equity group's never going to make that loan. So let's say that Bill had $25,000 of credit card debt, and we only project that on this next round of capital that he's going to get a $25,000 loan. Well, the private equity group wouldn't take the deal, right? Because all Bill is doing, which is still somewhat valuable, but he's moving from having revolving debt to a short-term installment debt. He didn't create any extra cash flow or working capital for his business. Therefore, that's a deal that wouldn't get funded. Now, if instead it looks like Bill will get $50,000 or $75,000 or more, at least double what it's going to take to pay off the credit cards through the bridge loan, then it starts to make sense, subject to Bill's or the given client's other 4 C's. But that's a great question. So if it's not at least a 2-for-1 expected return, it wouldn't make sense. All right, April's asking a good question. Yeah, so that's a great point. We've done this before where all we were doing is frankly moving money from personal credit cards to business credit cards. So let's use a different example. We got Greg on the line. So let's say Greg's got $25,000 on his personal credit cards and he doesn't want that anymore. So we want to get business credit cards for Greg. Well, Greg doesn't qualify for business credit cards because they're going to look at his personal credit and he's all charged up. So in this case, could we pay down Greg's $25,000 personal credit card debt, go apply for business credit cards, get approved, hopefully for more than $25,000. But the point is essentially moving his credit card debt from personal to business, which is great for him, reduces his liability, increases his credit score and his future borrowing. So April, that's a smart question, and that's absolutely correct. All right, Stefan's asking what is the cost, because it's 0% interest. So there's going to be an administrative fee that is determined when the offer is made to the client. And that is going to be based upon their risk, based upon their 4 C's: credit, cash flow, collateral, and character. So there's not a set admin fee, but there won't be an interest rate. All right, Dion asks also the same question, what's the interest rate? So there's 0% interest rate. There will be an admin fee. The admin fee is going to be determined based upon the 4 C's of the applicant. How long do they have to pay it back? It's going to be expected to be paid back immediately after they get their next round of funding. Hopefully that makes sense. I know some of you typed these questions before I answered prior ones. All right, and so Bill asks, so yes, it's effective, available today. And as we're working on the capital raise plan for each client, we'll see if this is applicable and speak with them about it, or they can always use Calendly and schedule a call with us if they think that that it might work for them. But so the point is, as our funding committee is reviewing the client's file, this is a new arrow in our quiver to assist them. And if someone wants to raise their hand and say, well, what about me? I think I'd qualify for the bridge loan. They can just schedule a call with us and we can review their profile and see if that's the case. Thank you, Bill, for that question. Mark asked, will the payments on the bridge loan report to the credit bureaus? No, it's just a real simple transaction. Hey, let us loan you $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, whatever it is. Get your credit cards paid down, pay it back in 60 days, no interest, just really quick and simple. But no, it won't report to the credit bureaus. Because if we reported to the credit bureau, what happens? Now we just messed up their debt to income. Now we're reporting that they have more debt, and that's going to reduce their borrowing capacity. Now, if they don't pay it back, it's going to be very uncomfortable for them. So the default on a bridge loan is unspeakable. So we don't even want to talk about that. Okay. Maximum amount, Joseph asked, and it's varied based upon the client. We've secured just under $1 million for the bridge loan program. Obviously, we don't want to loan one person all of it, and probably no one would have that much credit card debt anyway. But we essentially have a commitment of just under $1 million for the bridge loan program. And so if we need more, we can always go back and ask for more, but we need to make sure that it performs. Thank you, Joseph, for that question. Oh, Scott Fuente asks, how often will this be used? Well, it'll be used frequently for individuals that have the circumstance, high credit card balance, and that's the perceived only barrier to them getting their next round of funding. Oh, and Stefan asked the same question that was asked before. What's the maximum bridge loan amount? It can't exceed what the fund has in it, number one. And then number two, it's going to be based upon the 4 C's of the applicant. But in general, I mean, we got deep enough pockets to take care of anyone, but the issue is we need to be able to make sure that they're well suited for it. James asked, how much funding? Okay, so I guess we just talked about that, how much. Scott asked average loan amount. Well, I would say under the prior, if I can get this worded correctly, the prior private equity group, I think the average was probably about $15,000 that was sent to them to pay down credit card balances. But it varies based upon individuals. We see some people, they only have 3,000 total credit card ability to charge, and they've used all 3,000 of it. So in that case, the most they would need is 3,000 to pay off their credit cards. So obviously, different people have different revolving utilization and capacity on their credit card or their credit profile. So it'll match what the client's circumstances are. Now, in terms of what the loan would be afterwards, of course, that's based upon their 4 C's, right? They might qualify for $1 million. They might only qualify for $20,000. It depends upon them and their 4 C's. All right, Kwong asks, how do I apply for this program if I'm in the capital program? Is it based on one credit card or more than one credit card debt balances? So it's good. So what we're going to do is look at the entire credit profile, and in general, we would want to pay down all the credit cards, but it just depends what is needed. Because what's the goal? The goal is to help the client move from what we'll call not being capital ready to capital ready. They have a barrier. And so the goal is to get them that next round of funding by removing the barrier, which is high revolving credit card utilization. And so maybe they've just charged up one card, or they have one card that has a lot higher credit limit that they've used. So it'll vary by applicant how the funding will be instructed to be used. But it's always with the intention of getting their file ready for the next round of funding. And I think some of these questions are now redundant just because you typed them before I answered them, but minimum and maximum is the question Anna Marie asked. Well, the maximum that we can offer is what's currently available in the bridge loan program, which is just under $1 million. But as we said, I don't think we're going to run into many people that have $1 million of credit card debt. The minimum, I don't know that there is specifically a minimum. The goal is just to help clients prepare their file for funding. So I would say that there is not a specific minimum, but I guess let's say it's $100, right? If they have one, well, 200. So let's say they went out and got a secured credit card. They only have one secured credit card, and it's $200 credit limit, and they've charged up $200. Well, I mean, why would we even do a bridge loan? They probably need to manage their finances better, and within 30 days, they should be able to pay down $200. So there's some reasonableness factor to all of this too, of course. The admin fees will be based upon the amount of money that is lent to them through the bridge loan program. So it's not an interest rate. It'll be an admin fee that is tacked on to the repayment. There's no upfront application fee, and the amount of admin fee will be based upon their 4 C's. And so, we'll look at their profile and make them an offer. And if they want to accept it, they can, or they can decline it. That's fine. So Robert's asking, there's not a payout specific. Well, I guess we could change. I mean, the design was that there was not going to be a payout on the bridge loan, because what we're doing is we're using the bridge loan to be able to allow them to position to get their funding which does have a performance fee payout. But let's say that we loan someone $10,000, just not nice round number. No, there wouldn't be a performance fee on the $10,000 for the bridge loan. This is just a step towards getting their funding. And so then after the bridge loan, paid down their credit cards, and now they get, we'll just use round numbers, $100,000 loan, then of course, then you would get your performance fee. But it wasn't intended that there would be a performance fee paid off of the bridge loan. If you all feel differently, then we'll just have to build that in. I mean, it's going to be pushing the cost to the client, but we certainly, if that's what you feel is important, let us know, and we could change how we charge the client. Thank you, Robert. Okay, James is asking some good questions. And so this is specific to credit card balances, high credit card balances, not to student loans, not to car loans, not to mortgages, not to IRS debt. This is for paying off credit card balances for the reasons we've talked about. Thank you for asking. Okay, and so the question is, how are we going to develop the funding amount? Is it just to get them down to 30% or pay off? And so we're going to do some what if scenarios based upon the amount of funding. And so let's say we could get them 10,000 and it would pay them down to 30%, or we could get them an additional amount and they would be able to double their borrowing capacity. Well, we would rather loan them the larger amount so they could double their borrowing capacity, which better helps them. And of course, you earn more income, but there'll be some analysis done on each client's profile to determine what the offer would be, both in amount and the administrative fee. All right, so Abner asked a good question. Can the bridge loan be used to start your LLCs? Well, again, I don't know what else to do other than to say this is the only use of the bridge loan. So each of you can ask me lots of different questions, but the way the bridge loan is set up, this is what it's for. Now, people that need money to set up their LLCs and buy their key person policies, that's fine. There's funding available for that, but that's not what the bridge loan is for. The bridge loan is very narrow, very specific, very powerful, but it's very specific to this. So it's not for other uses. There's other types of loans available for other uses. And for someone to get funding to start their LLC and get their key person policy, that's easy. We can go get them a business credit card and they could just put it on there. They wouldn't need the bridge loan for that simple of a use. Stefan asked, do you know what a client will qualify for if their credit cards are maxed? Well, obviously that's an incomplete question. There's many other assumptions that we would have to make to answer that. When it goes to borrowing money, it comes down to the 4 C's, doesn't it? Credit, cash flow, collateral, and character. And so just knowing that someone's maxed out on their credit card without knowing anything about their 4 C's would not give us any information to answer your question. All right, so Scott says, if a credit literacy educator is discussing the credit sweep with a client and it's determined that they also have high revolving credit, is the credit educator free to discuss the bridge loan possibilities? Certainly you could. So you could get them enrolled in credit sweep and let them know that there are other resources that we have available for them. So that's fine. You don't want to promise them because we don't know if they'll qualify for it or not, but you can certainly talk about other resources that may be available to them. Asked about commissions. So we paid out all of the March commissions this week. Normally the first full week of the following month we'll pay out any of the monthly commissions. A lot of the commissions just pay next day. And if you're owed something you haven't been paid, just email us and we'll figure out what happened. Alan asked, is the bridge loan a product that we can sell? Well, I mean, you can sell it, but you know that there's certain requirements to be able to access it. We've already covered that, Alan, right? Robert asks, so certainly, Robert, as you and the other joint venture partners are mentoring clients, I don't know that you're doing a real close credit consult with them, but to the extent that it comes up that they have high credit card utilization, you can certainly flag us and we can review their file for access to the bridge loan. So certainly you could. And should. I mean, you're there to mentor them. All right, Alan asks, if we submit a client for real estate funding, which of course means that they've enrolled in access to capital, real estate funding is just the use of funds. They might want to buy business cars, business real estate, commercial real estate in general, working capital. Again, that's just how the money is used. The program that they come into is access to capital. Okay, so that wasn't Alan's question. I didn't read it carefully enough. So he's saying if they come in and we do a real estate deal and then they're ready to do another real estate deal, is it another enrollment? Typically, yes. So the way the access to capital is set up, it's for a specific funding project. And that's a term that they used all the time when I worked for the SBA, a funding project. So you could have, let's take Darnell, who's here on the line. So Darnell, his first project is to buy a commercial office building. So he enrolls, we go through that, we get that funded. Now he's ready to buy another a different commercial office building. That's really a different funding project, right? It's a different use of funds. Now his circumstances has changed. So each funding project should be a separate enrollment in access to capital. Randall asks, is the admin fee paid pre-funding or is it financed? It is financed. So thank you. I didn't clarify that. So when they go through the bridge loan program, there's no interest attached. There is an admin fee that is risk adjusted for the client based upon their 4 C's. And then that would be collected after funding. So they would get their funding from other source after we've paid off their credit cards. They get their funding and then they would pay back the principal and the admin fee. Great question, Randall, and I wasn't clear about that before. Stefan says, where do we go to set up a time to review specific client needs on bridge loans? Well, that's not your role. I mean, you're an affiliate, which is important. So I'm not saying you're only an affiliate, but you're an affiliate, Stefan. So, or a credit literacy educator. And so all you need to do is refer in clients and then they're going to work with the mentor over the 4 weeks, build their loan package. And then we will then have collected their deferred refundable deposit. That's part of the process. And then as we're working on their funding, if they would benefit from the bridge loan, then now we have better access to that than we did before, because the private equity group that we were working with, LDS group, high character, high morals, nothing but positive things to say about them, but their access to capital was drying up. So in other words, Stefan, you can always email us and bring it to our attention, but you're not really involved with that aspect. All right, and so then Robert, again, as one of our busy mentors, is asking, so the way that we pay out performance fees is whomever brings the client to the table gets paid a performance fee. If you're a branch manager / joint venture partner, then you get 3% of the client's capital raise. If you're an affiliate, you get paid 1%, and we pay that 3 levels deep. So if you're just mentoring an orphan client, you're not involved with the performance fee. You'll most likely write the key person policy, which is great. You pay the $100 an hour to mentor them, which is awesome, but you're not involved with the performance fee because it's being paid out to the sales arm. You weren't involved in that case in the selling process. All right, James asks, so if the client has 2 businesses and they want to enroll in the Access to Capital program, can they enroll both businesses at the same time? Absolutely. And we talked about this, now I forget if it was yesterday or earlier this week. Yeah, some of you that are the top income producers, you'll take a client, you'll help them enroll their first funding project in Access to Capital program. As soon as they sign up, you'll turn around and say, hey, James, did you have any other reason you needed capital? Any other business ideas? Any other funding projects? Oh yeah, I was thinking about doing this or that. Well, great. Let's go ahead and get that model, that business, that project signed up as well. And it would be a second or a third or a fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th access to capital enrollment. So each funding project is a separate enrollment, but absolutely you can enroll a client into access to capital twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, as many times as you want. The only pain in the butt with that, James, is we need a unique email address for each funding project. And I know that's painful, but that's the unique identifier that we use. So if the client enrolled twice and they use the same email, our CRM is going to have a tendency to see it as a duplicate and merge the files. And then that's kind of difficult to unmerge. So as long as they will provide a different email address for their enrollment in each access to capital, yeah, I mean, most of you should be able to double your revenue by just getting a client onboarded. Give them a week and say, hey, is there any other capital needs you have? Let's go ahead and get that funding project enrolled as well. No upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee. And again, we talked about this yesterday or earlier this week. Let's say that they want a guarantee of $1 million. Well, we only guarantee 100,000. Can be more, that's the minimum. But if they enrolled 10 times, guess what? Now they have a guarantee of $1 million across 10 different projects. All right, thank you, James, for that. All right, so we're a bit over, so let me summarize what we've covered, and then unless anyone else has any questions, we'll wrap it up. So we're announcing the rollout effective today of the new bridge loan program. It is specifically to pay down high credit card balances to allow access to capital clients to be able to go to funding. So we're going to wire them the money to pay down their credit cards or pay off their credit cards, based upon the assumption, the belief, the understanding that if that is done, then they're ready to go for full funding. And then they'll receive their full funding, and then they'll pay back the bridge loan. It has a 0% interest rate, but it will have an admin fee. The amount of the admin fee will vary based upon the client's 4 C's: credit, character, cash flow, and collateral. You're not specifically paid off of the bridge loan. What you're paid off of is the funding that they receive, and you get paid your normal amount, 3% if you're a joint venture partner, 1% if you're an affiliate. All right, well, that was good information. I hope you found it helpful. We'll see you back tomorrow morning, and we'll keep pressing forward. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.